Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the virtual Cobalt Cafe, week number 128 of our virtual series. For those of you keeping track, I imagine some of you kind of like you're in prison. You've got a wall where you just like make a little mark on the wall each time a thing happens. Well, your 128th mark on your wall should happen now if you're stuck in a room all this time and just keeping track of how many virtual Cobalt cafes have gone by. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm your MC for tonight. Thrilled to have you all here to participate in our open reading, to listen to each other, as well as to hear our featured reader tonight. Our own Jennifer Elise Wang is here. Jennifer, so happy that it's your turn this week to be our featured reader. Looking forward to your set, and awfully glad that you're here and part of this whole thing that we do. So before we get to our featured reader, we're going to have some of our open reading, about 5 open readers or so. If you would like to participate in the open reading and you haven't already done so, send me a message in the chat and I will be more than happy to add you to the list. You can read up to 2 poems here in the open mic, and as has already been joked about. Well, I guess I have to tell you what we're joking about before we mention what has been joked about. My suggestion to you is that less is more. That if you're reading something that's particularly long, that you only do the one thing as opposed to 2 things. And so I've kind of forgotten the joke now. This is not going well for me tonight. Something like, so I suggest less is more, and as has already been joked about before we went live on Facebook, about 50% of the people ignore. So there you go. That's basically the gist of it. I'm glad I could get through that joke as well as explain it to make it even more funny. So we're going to go in the order that you signed up, though I'm seriously contemplating going in a random order in future weeks. So think about that. Let that weigh on your heart as the evening progresses. Oh, yes, we also have a 1 drink minimum here at the Cobalt. Make sure that you have a beverage with you to help you enjoy the evening as much as possible. What else can I tell you? You should have the chat room open. The chat room is a great place for you to interact with each other during the readings, since you're only able to unmute yourself when it's your turn to read. And you can post links of things that you might mention when you are reading, send each other private messages, all of that kind of stuff. I believe that is everything I need to tell you. So before we get to our first open reader, I guess I would just like to ask if there are any questions. Yes, John, what do you got?
Thank you, Rick. Okay, here's the situation. You're in a high stakes business meeting in Tokyo and you got to sing karaoke. Will it be the Sex Pistols or Tom Lehrer?
Two good choices. I guess I would have to put some thought into whether the social commentary of Tom Lehrer would fly in that particular room. I feel like that culture might enjoy just the Sex Pistols, regardless of whether they understood what was being said. So I think I think it would be safer to go with Sex Pistols in that situation.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Good question. Any other questions? Glancing at all the no other questions. Okay. Well, no problem then, guys. We're going to get right to our open reading. Again, a 2 poem maximum, folks. 5 open readers, and then our featured reader, Jennifer Elise Wang. On deck, our second reader will be Gloria Durgy. Please welcome now Mr. George Wiley. Hello, George.
There we go. Hello. Wow. Okay, I'm going to share screen for 2 of them if I can. They're sort of dependent a bit on their graphics, if I can make it work. Here's the first one. And can you, oops. Maybe, oh. Can you see anything besides the word Zoom? No? Okay, I'm gonna stop the share and try it with the other one. I might have this one. Okay, maybe this is the only one. This was I posted this on Facebook, I think it was yesterday. It's in a very small sense, ekphrastic. It's called When Daddy Gets Home. It's a World War I thing, obviously. When Daddy Gets Home from France. We finally got a letter from Daddy last week. He says he'll soon be leaving England for France. His unit will fight the Kaiser near Amiens, he wrote, and he plans to be home by Christmas. But on the way there, Daddy says, they will be in Paris. He wrote, Gay Paris, and he's heard the food there is fine. He'll send postcards to Maggie and me and fine parched tone paper to Mother. Merci, merci. I can't wait to get the postcard. I lie dreaming of it now. Maggie is 4 years older than me, and sometimes I wear her clothes. She's on the Queen's Court at school, she says, and will place highest of the class in the 1919 grads. Mother had the Gill ladies over today for their tea, and I sat in the larder to overhear some of their talk. When Mother mentioned Amiens, Mrs. Portage spoke up. That, she said, is the worst trench fighting in all of France. Mother passed it off with, oh, Martin will be fine, I'm sure. Why, they're going to Paris first. After the ladies left, I went about putting the linens and crystal away and getting ready for our big weekend in Stony Brook. Spring on the island is such fun for me. I get to see the elegant cousin Agnes and push baby Hubert in his carriage. In the letter, Father promised that when he gets home, we'll spend the whole summer riding horses at Oyster Bay. And peace. Okay, get out of there. I can get back to what I was doing. Did that show up? Was my poem on the screen? Oh God, but you heard me. Okay. So much for technology. I guess that's it for tonight because the other one didn't come up. Thank you.
All right, George. Sorry the technology didn't work in your favor, but we got to hear your poem, which is all we've ever needed from you, George. So it's totally fine. Yeah, there's different sharing options when you open it up. Depending on what you click in, you could share your entire screen if you click on the wrong or individual windows. If you click on an individual window, that might be what you shared. It was very meta seeing you share the Zoom window in Zoom. You know, that could have just gone on and deeper and deeper. And maybe next week that we could just do that and see how that works out.
Why not?
And George, thanks for being here. Another round of applause for George Wiley. On deck is John Wessick. Please welcome now Gloria Durgy. Hello, Gloria.
Hello all. Hope my computer doesn't fizzle out as it's been doing. However, I have two tonight, one short one and one short one. And the first one is from my brother-in-law, Bill Durgy in Maryland. It's called Concessions. I don't know why you won't have your picture taken with me under the statue of Poseidon, but off you go. And so I asked a bubbly college girl to snap me with the god of the ocean. She is too eager to oblige. It is, of course, because it's me and not his upright trident. Now I search for you among the haunted houses and the miniature golf courses, thinking this is too much an imagined dream, noirish and overwrought. But knowing I will find you on a boardwalk bench eating funnel cakes, your lips and fingers with white powdered sugar, and of course, you'll offer me a piece. That's the first one. And the second one is mine, called The Peacock and the Eagle. I am the older, I am the other. This time is for strange associations. You asked, I said yes. A different life, I guess. Pleasant peacock, dance with me, soundless wings, happy scratchings. You preen, self-driven, fan your tail, kaleidoscope of heaven. I come into your mind when you think to play, move slowly in my realm, demand to stay. With me, I say, feign shock and awe, brush away the feathers and show a claw. Green bird, you bob your beak, of course you want, but do not speak. Assume you have the rights of a bird of prey, but you're not the eagle. That's my role to play. The raptor me will seize control, and I will uplift the peacock's soul. This you see when the rainbow shows that I am an eagle fashioned of gold. Dance and jump and stomp and screech, but this eagle directs you as the talons reach. And the different life created here is one for the birds, since others will sneer. Peacock, only you care if others think us strange. The peacock and the eagle at home on the range. I'm the older, I'm the other. This is the time for strange associations. Thank you.
Well, that's my favorite time of day, all day. Gloria, thank you for sharing both of those poems. Who did you say the first one was by?
William Durkee, my brother-in-law, who's very
Oh.
well published on the East Coast.
Sweet. Is he still around?
Oh, yes, he's still writing, and he's won a couple of prizes, and he's been up for Pushcart, but he's a big East Coast guy.
Well, you know, we have a whole lot of East Coast people with us. You should
I
see.
keep telling him, and he keeps not coming, so what can I tell you? Moving stone, moving stone.
All right. Well, glad to have at least one Durkee represented here. Glad it's you. And maybe we'll see another one someday, but it's not even necessary. So thanks for being here. Another round of applause for Gloria Durkee. On deck is Audrey Friedman. Please welcome now John Wessick. Hello, John.
Hello, Rick. So we are continuing Confessions of a Wallflower from last week. As you recall, it's the eve of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. And a CIA parapsychologist has two children. The son, Patrick, can stand into a wall and just be absorbed into the material. And the daughter, Darla, has the hots for Saddam Hussein. And Patrick is the point of view narrator. In mid-March, while the rest of us were watching the president give Saddam and his sons... Oops, wrong one. Gotta start on that. Okay. CIA employees must never, ever bring secret documents home from work, but my father always had all kinds of interesting stuff in his battered briefcase. While others carried slick laptop computers, my dad continued to lug the brown leather briefcase he'd bought in the 1980s. As soon as he got home, Dad would lock it in the GSA safe by his desk. I guess he never realized my wall blending ability could work on steel too. On a typical Thursday night in February, we assembled at the dinner table. Dad lit his pipe and stretched out his long legs so his size 13 triple D feet lurked like bear traps to snag the leg of anybody walking by. Mom served white corn, chicken breasts, and cream sauce and French bread. Our neighbor's sled dog, Trixie, who always hung around at dinner time, had kibbles and bits. Mom never ate, preferring instead to draw nourishment from topless sunbathing. To be social, she sipped a glass of white wine with Dad. After dinner, Darla retreated to her room to watch CNN. Dad went to the garage to work on his 1/8 scale steam locomotive. Mom stripped and jumped in the tanning booth, and Trixie's owner called her home for Iditarod practice. That left me with nothing to do, so I entered Dad's office, pressed my chest against the safe, and blended into the massive block of steel. Inside, I could only see a grainy black and white view, hardly suitable for reading. Although it took a half hour of effort, I managed to spring the catch on the lock. I rematerialized and sat at my father's desk to examine the briefcase's contents while rubbing my aching right arm. The black candles, dried out corpse's hand, and Bill Clinton doll with a rusty needle in its chest didn't interest me. Instead, I read the latest report. Central Asia was proving a poor source of virgin's blood. The attempt to create a golem resembling Wolf Blitzer had failed when the creature washed down the sewer in a thunderstorm, and Karl Rove successfully summoned the demon Axfidel at a seance in the executive office building. None of this was out of the ordinary. I thumbed through a stack of documents stamped top secret in big red letters. There was a zombie spell and a medical report describing my sister's CCR5 genetic defect. I jotted down the Latin phrases from the former. It could come in handy the next time Ricky Green hassled me. As usual, I replaced Dad's briefcase and locked the safe door. In mid-March, while the rest of us were watching the president give Saddam and his sons a 48-hour ultimatum on TV, the sound of a lightning bolt came from the second floor. Trixie, her furs standing up from static electricity, ran whining into the street. Dad and I rushed to my stepsister's room. We found Saddam pointing a nickel-plated automatic at Darla and jabbering like a phlegm ball the size of a canned ham was stuck in his throat. The air smelled of ozone and burning insulation. Darla cowered inside the pentagram, chalked on the carpet, with Dad's open briefcase at her feet. I guess I must have left the safe unlatched on my foray that night. How else could Darla have gotten in? I recited the zombie spell and Saddam froze. Put down the gun, I said. Evidently, a zombie needed to understand commands to obey them. This posed a bit of a problem since Saddam didn't speak English and I didn't speak Arabic. Dad removed the pistol from the dictator's grip, ejected the magazine, and cleared the bullet from the chamber. What are we going to do now? Dad sat on my stepsister's bed, took off his plastic-rimmed glasses, and pinched the bridge of his nose. If the company finds out I took the summoning spell home, I'll lose my job for sure. Can't we just send him back? I pulled Saddam's ear and poked him in the belly. He didn't respond. No! Darla knelt at my father's feet and pressed her tear-soaked face to his knees. Don't you see? If you send him back, they'll kill him. Doesn't matter anyway, Pumpkin. Congress never authorized the funds to develop the send away spell. Dad shook his head. I wish I'd never gotten involved in Operation Mary Mallon. Although Saddam wouldn't obey spoken commands, he followed when I took his hand. I led him downstairs and stashed him in the tanning bed, while the rest of us had a late dinner of carrot juice, duck and orange sauce, and pumpkin pie. By morning, the situation looked a whole lot brighter. All we needed to do was smuggle Saddam into Dad's office. Then he could say he captured the dictator on his own initiative. A grateful Congress would boost the occult directorate's budget, and Dad might even get a raise. There was one problem, though. Saddam would only follow me. Fortunately, the CIA's Take Your Child to Work Day was on the 25th. We'd only have to keep Saddam on ice for a week. I think I will hold off there and pick it up next week.
That's a solid plan, John. I'm enjoying this, though I should say this is exactly the kind of thing that I would watch if it were scripted television on Netflix or Amazon Prime or even HBO Max. So keep it up, and I hope that it gets there.
Well, thanks, Rick.
Another round of applause for John Wessick. On deck is Unmesh Mohitkar. Please welcome now Audrey Friedman. Hello, Audrey.
Hi, Rick. Good to be here. I have two tonight. The first one is The Pieces That Go. The gauze that was left of your memory was rent. Gaping holes where the image of your son on his radio flyer, with its daddy pulling him down the cracked concrete streets in front of the Williamsburg tenement, where you and your children crammed. You were a recent immigrant, finally freed from the terrors of the Third Reich. It's funny how the pieces that go are the happy ones, and what remains are the guttural shouts, the straight backs as they salute and honor their duty to the Führer. Dedicated to rid the world of vermin. Then you spent a lifetime trying to restore your soul and your sanity, and what is left does not include the baby smelling of talcum powder, the toddler in his wagon, only the fingers eager to touch what wasn't theirs or press the trigger of a Luger. Thank you. The second one was written about one of my many moves, moving to Rhode Island. We drove our Dodge Caravan from East Bay to West. Narragansett waters shivered, crossed by bridges, dotted with sailboats and islands named Goat or Aquidneck, boat launches, restaurants offering twin lobsters, clam cakes and stuffies, or quahog chowder, even a breakfast of Johnny cakes at Jiggers. Exit signs read like strange music, Wampanoag, Chepachet, Kickamuit, Weekapog. We'd meander roads beneath red maple and yellow poplars. In October, roads bordered with marsh marigold and birdfoot violet. The pink lady slipper hid demurely, not wanting to be brash. Providence thrummed, water fire with mimes, food stands piled with doughboys, Ordell's frozen lemonade, and blackened figures steered gondolas down the river in the dark past the braziers, almost as romantic as the land their families had hailed from. St. Joseph's Day Menzepelas from Di Pasquale's, oozing with cream, rum, or plain, and one must seize the opportunity, for they weren't seen for the rest of the year. And jazz notes buzzed like bees in Newport, over greens and around the mansions of tycoons. So with the ambers and oranges of the fall palette or the summer sea blues, why did it never feel sweet? I watched the rabbits and deer skittish to find a screen of safety. Might I ask the animals to let me hide with them? This land is also inhospitable to me, the Brooklyn Jewish girl, who felt much more at home in my natural habitat, back in a land of concrete and cracked cement. Thank you.
Audrey, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Glad you made it back to us. And please come again soon and read more.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody.
That's an awfully comfy looking chair you're on as well, by the way.
Oh, it is. It is.
Send a link. We all want one. Another round of applause for Audrey Friedman. On deck is our featured reader, Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome now Unmesh Mohitkar. Hello, Unmesh.
Sorry, here we go. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Rick. Hope I am audible and visible. Here we go. And I've got one poem. This is something I wrote on there was a painting on, based on that I wrote this. Vast blue ocean, the waves unusually quiet, tired of the ebbs and flows. There, I see her eyes staring at nowhere, looking at the blues of life. She is at the crossroads, spread on the canvas of blue ocean, crossing she never wanted to cross, bearing the cross of the lover who crucified her. Her own blood bloodied her, filling her heart with the lava of hate which can boil the freezing oceans. Her eyes so cold that the burning desert can feel the icy snow winds. Still, there is a resolve on her face, like a cornered cat, determination to right the wrong, like a traveler taking a wrong turn, but determined to reach the destination. Course correction. Course correction is what she wants. Very few options in this world. For a traveler who is on a wrong journey, they will never let her change her ways. They never want wronged people walking on their self-righteous ways. I see the longing for life in her beautiful, tired, haunting, scared eyes. The blue water flowing through her veins, the aquatic plants surround her, trying to claim her as one of its own. The tears mixing with ocean water, carrying her tale of her pain, carrying the tale of her pain to shores unknown. I am standing on the shore, falling apart like a broken guitar, falling apart like broken guitar strings. I don't know her tragic life. I don't know her tragedy, but her eyes makes a connection with the same blue blood flowing in my veins, flowing in my veins. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Unmesh, thank you so much. Great performance and reading. As always, so glad that you were able to be here tonight. Please come again when you can.
Sure. Thanks.
Another round of applause for Unmesh Mohitkar. Bringing us a fantastic performance. On deck after our featured reader is Julian Matthews, which leads us now to our featured reader, Jennifer Elise Wang. I referred earlier to Jennifer as our own Jennifer Elise Wang. That's the phrase I tend to use when I'm talking about someone who is a regular. I don't mean to claim ownership over anyone, over Jennifer, or anything like that, but I feel when folks show up here, they're part of it. Jennifer is absolutely part of what we do here. She's been coming very consistently for some time, and that just makes me feel like she's one of our own, our collective people who make up the core of what we do here at the Cobalt. Jennifer is a non-binary femme from Dallas, Texas, and a supporter of non-binary poets. When we have one on, sometimes you'll see Jennifer give a shout out to them. So a supporter, a celebrator, a champion of people of different identities, which is awesome and important. When she's not doing neuroscience research, let me just pause here to say those are words which appear in her bio. I'm going to say them again. When she's not doing neuroscience research, I'm really curious as to what the breakdown is in percentage of time. Like, how much time are you not doing that versus how much time are you doing that? When she's not doing neuroscience research, she enjoys writing, dancing, learning how to skateboard and snowboard. My son is about to get a skateboard, so perhaps the two of you can figure it out together and hopefully end up on the other side of it alive. She's been published in a number of places, and she's a go with the flow kind of poet. I've seen Jennifer change up what she's going to read based on what she's heard read in the rest of the open reading, so she's very much present in a situation when she's in the situation, and I'm super excited that she's here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our featured reader, Jennifer Elise Wang.
All right. Thank you, Rick, for having me and that really great intro. And I do spend a lot of time doing research, so I am also very easily distracted. So poems sometimes pop in my head. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jennifer Elise Wang. I call myself a non-binary femme in STEM. I do traumatic brain injury research by day, and by night or whenever I can, I write, dance, wrangle cats, and get into lots of nerdy things. I decided to use this feature as a way to kind of look back into my journey with poetry. I kind of stumbled upon it in high school. Like, it always used to be just something that teachers made me do, and then kind of learned that I had a skill for it, and I've always kind of just written poems very organically. So we're gonna hear some throwbacks along with some new ones. And if you hear yelling, that's my partner yelling at my cats because they want to steal the screen time. So that's they'll probably pop up again. So the first poem is the first poem I published in a literary magazine outside of my high school publication. It's one I still really like after all these years. It was in Teen Ink, I think, 20 years ago. So I'm a huge fan of action sports, skating, snowboarding, and surfing, which I was watching a lot back then, and I'm watching a lot now again. So this poem still kind of resonates with me. It's called Surfing. The ocean opens its jaws and roars as a swell is created. I face this ferocious monster of a wave, almost being swallowed. With my sword of a board, I ride the dragon until it hurries back into the deep, dark beyond. And so the next poem also came from high school. I became a very angsty, rebellious teenager. So of course, when there is a theme for the school, like arts and literature competition, that is what brings you joy, I had to flip it on its head and make it the angstiest piece ever. So here is A Poet's Joy. Alone at my desk with Keats and Dickinson in mind, I invoke the muses and graces. Come transform these bottled emotions into something beautiful. My pen touches the paper and I feel the catharsis. Let my hatred tear the pages as curses unsaid become eloquent metaphors. Let my sorrow flow through the ink like the tears I never cried, until nothing is left of my burning rage except the embers of my words. I kill myself loathing with pride in this masterpiece. Poe and Plath knew the pain and pleasure of a poet's art. In sadness and anger is bliss. And so even after all these years, I really like this poem and I consider it kind of my artistic statement. I have a flair for, I guess, the angst and the dramatic sometimes. So we're gonna go into my college years where I became obsessed with all things Japanese. And so Casabella's gonna enjoy this because I discovered tanka while I was in college and started writing a lot of these. The first one I wrote, I decided to choose this one because fan fiction has been a big part of my literary journey. And a lot of my poems are still a bit fanfic-esque because I get inspired by a lot of the media I consume. And so this tanka is based on a character from the video game / movie Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Drifting and drifting, he tries to find forgiveness. The young warrior can have a peaceful future once he stops fighting the past. Drifting and drifting, he tries to find forgiveness. The young warrior can have a peaceful future once he stops fighting the past. And so my obsession with all things Japanese did lead me to teach English in Japan for a year. I had a really great time, but this was the first time I was living by myself. So definitely got homesick, and this tanka came out of one of those nights when I was feeling pretty down. In a foreign land, nothing is more frightening than losing yourself in a crowd that can't hear you and knowing you are alone. In a foreign land, Nothing is more frightening than losing yourself in a crowd that can't hear you and knowing you are alone. And so I decided that teaching wasn't my thing, and that's when I became a lab tech, and I've been a lab tech for not quite 15 years. I'm getting close to 15 years. I've done different sorts of sciences. Traumatic brain injury is my big interest because of action sports. Rick mentioned how much time do I have? I usually don't. So you'll find periods where there's not a lot of poems. And then thankfully these open mics are getting me back into writing. But one of the cool things with my workplace is that it's part of the North Texas Business Council for the Arts. And they hold an annual competition for employees to share art that they've created in their free time. In the past few years, they added literature. And so definitely I jumped aboard. And this poem, I wound up winning the open poetry division in the 2019 competition on my own time. There's a huge trigger warning for this. I wrote this in response to just navigating adult relationships and what consent means, what rape culture is. So yeah, this is a heavy one. 4-letter words. When we were kids, there were certain 4-letter words we could not say. One in particular was even banned from most cable TV. But as adults, we say it all the time, though rarely meaning it as an action, like you do now. You don't say it, that 4-letter word, but your fingers talk. They get a little too curious, and I try to discourage them, like our moms did when we asked what certain 4-letter words meant. But we kept pushing, and your fingers kept wandering, lower. You still can't say it, or even ask if I'm okay with this, so you put your mouth to other uses. I tell myself it's okay, but then you go to places that make me think of another 4-letter word. This isn't taboo like the one on your mind. Network TV uses it, and we even joked about it when we were teens. And yet no one wants to talk about it or even think about the consequences. You surely don't, as your mind becomes occupied with more 4-letter words. Want, need, give, take. No, not the last one. It's too close to that word you've banished to the deep caverns of your mind, like the bad words your mom told you to never think about, much less say. You don't go there because you're not that type. And as long as you don't cross the final threshold, you're okay. I'm okay. I tell myself the same, pushing that 4-letter word away. Except now I remember those jokes and the girls I used to call names with 4 or 5 letters. And I think that none of this is okay. I should cry, scream, kick, push, do something to tell you how I feel inside. But my body says something else, and you only understand moans and shudders, wants and needs. In the end, there's nothing but the silence of unsaid 4-letter words to convey our emotions. Love, lust, hate, hurt, fear, for, from, of, you, and me. And so, yeah, that was kind of a heavier one. Yeah, more recent years, I've started writing a lot of poems about kind of social justice and just current events, because that is what riles me up. But I'm actually going to kind of flip things a little bit and go somewhere a little lighter and bring it back to Japanese poetry. Started writing haiku again. This one I wrote recently for a haiku contest, and I think it's perfect for this time of year. Dark descends sooner, bringing a chill with the wind. Pumpkin spice returns. Dark descends sooner, bringing a chill with the wind. Pumpkin spice returns. And so, yeah, that was my modern take on haikus and seasons, because my partner is not a poet, but the one thing he has learned from a haiku workshop is that you need a season word, and I insist that pumpkin spice is a new season word. And so those of you who have been at Cobalt know about my polku, my pole dance inspired haikus. I was originally going to unveil them here, but I kind of jumped the gun a little bit since we had other haikus. But but this is the first polku I ever wrote. It was inspired by the fact that I had a class that overlapped with Cobalt. So kind of on my way back from class, all I could think about was Cobalt. But then during Cobalt, all I could think about was how much my thighs were hurting from the class because of this move that we do called the Superman. So let's see if I can share what the Superman looks like. So this is the first polku that I ever wrote called Superman. Up in the sky, Superman must be engaging his thighs. Up in the sky, Superman must be engaging his thighs. And so we had joked about me doing it live, but as you can see, that trick is kind of complicated. And also I didn't want to fall on my face in front of everybody. Still learning that one. And so I think we're getting close to the end. I'm gonna wrap it up with a poem I wrote just for Cobalt. I'm autistic, so I see a lot of patterns in different things. And one theme in my life, oddly, has been stuff that goes around on Thursday or on Tuesday nights. Like Tuesday nights are always the night that I anticipate like exciting things from happening. And so I kind of wrote this in honor of the Cobalt Poets. Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights, I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She helped me face my fear of monsters in the night, but did little to prepare me for the real horrors of high school. I learned her feminism was only applicable to skinny white girls imagined by a problematic man. In college, Tuesday nights were anime club, a study break where I could escape across time and space to fight aliens and demons alongside psychics and cyborgs, and fall in love with cat boys and girls with guns. But how do you escape your betrayer being voted your VP? In anime, you get your vengeance after rising from the dead. But when you have to stay alive, you fake a smile and do all the work until it's time to leave. I thought I found a home in my Tuesday night shows, featuring glittery drag queens, risque drag kings, and beautiful burlesquers basking in limelight and dollar bills. This was my new queer family, I thought. Money, however, destroys any type of familiar bond. And when you're focused on love and fun, you might just find yourself alone behind the curtain in silence. Still, you try to fight for a place until you had nothing left and became thankful everything was shut down. Quarantine brought quests on Tuesday nights through my Discord D&D sessions. I got to escape and pretend again, and I found a new group. Not quite a family, but an adventuring party of friends. But a nagging voice says they're not your friends, they're his. And it's hard to fight monsters when you're already battling anxiety and ADHD. It's not so fun to be a social justice rogue when you have to do so in real life. This warrior found her inner artist again, and now Tuesday nights are filled with words that have their own magic, sometimes to fight the evils of the world, and everyone gets their place in the spotlight. I wouldn't say we're a club or a family or even friends, not Facebook officially, not yet anyway, but we're a Cobalt community, and maybe that's what I've been looking for all along. Yeah, so thank you again for having me and for this existing. As I've mentioned before, when I found out that the original Cobalt Cafe was where one of my biggest inspirations, Linkin Park, played one of their early shows. Felt like this was destiny that I came across Cobalt Cafe, partly thanks to Richard Westheimer, because I think I saw him here. So yeah, props for promoting yourself and introducing me to this.
Jennifer, that was awesome. What a sweet thing to have written that poem for this community. You kind of put a label on it. We're not friends. We're not even Facebook for some of us, yet. But Cobalt community, it's a whole other category of relationship, I think, which you sort of just defined for all of us, which is really cool. And I think we're gonna ink that. It's that cool. I'm really glad that you discovered this place. Thank you, Richard, for putting the word out there and bringing Jennifer along. really cool set. I love that it was like a survey. You talked about at the beginning, it was you were heading back to the beginning and you kind of took us through a whole, like lifetime of poetry of your poetry to some extent, which was really cool. And I let, it's sometimes, we struggle, like, how are we going to put together a set of poetry? How are we going to put together a manuscript? And you latched onto like a format that was going to work, and we can all learn from that. So thank you for that. At a certain point, I don't know what happened. I missed the cause of this, but the little blue ball on the cat tree in your background was swinging back and forth. And I don't know if that was your partner who came by and hit it, or if a cat came by. I'm not sure. I just caught the tail end of it already swinging. So there's this great mystery now that I'm never gonna, I don't know. But
I actually don't know
and I
either
also-
since I wasn't looking. So
or it's possible that it's haunted and they're already in the house. Jennifer, be careful. They're already in the house. And finally, I just want to agree with you 100% that pumpkin spice is a seasonal word, and that does in fact make anything included in it, as long as you're writing and reading that in the fall, an official haiku based on my ordination by the people of Japan to say such things. So Jennifer, thank you so much. Let me share the screen and show folks the broadside I made for one of the poems that you read, A Poet's Joy. There it is. You can download this now from the Cobalt Poets website, poetrysuperhighway.com/cobalt. Let me paste the stuff in the chat room again so you can have that link if you would like it. Also, I hope that you'll consider tipping Jennifer. She has both Venmo and PayPal. I pasted those IDs in the chat room as well. As I say every week, if you're the kind of person at an in-person reading to, when a hat got passed around after the featured reader, to put money into the hat for the featured reader for their featured reading, this is how we do that. We ask that you directly electronically tip them via, in this case, Venmo or PayPal. It's a cool thing to do. It's awesome when poets make even the smallest amount of money from poetry. She needs to be able to buy a coffee when she's taking a break from neuroscience research. Also, so there's the link for the broadside as well, 11x17 print you can download, and Jennifer's Facebook link as well, in case you want to be in touch and make it Facebook official with her. I'm not saying, you'll need her consent, of course, but there's the link. She did send it to share. So Jennifer, thank you again. Great reading. So glad you were here tonight.
Right, thank you.
I'm going to be keeping an eye on your window to see if a cat comes by. Another round of applause for our featured reader, Jennifer Elise Wang. Before we get to the rest of our open reading, I will mention that next week our featured reader is our own Ike Waltz, who we'll be hearing a little bit later in the open reading as well. If you would like to read in the open reading and you haven't already done so, send me a message in the chat. You can read up to 2 poems. I ask you to take less is more to heart in terms of the amount that you choose to read at the open mic. We have long nights. We start late for a lot of people, so less is more. We do this every week. You can come back and read more every single week. Also, a couple things, little businessy things. I know some people came late, and there's new people here. Sometimes you get stuck in the waiting room because you've just put your first name or something. Because Zoom bombing is a thing, and we've been victims of that, though not recently because of this measure, in fact. We ask that if you're coming or if you're sharing this event with anyone else, that you ask people to use their full real name as their Zoom identity. Even if I don't recognize your full name, I'll look it up on Facebook, and if I see you're there and I see that you're a poet, I'll let you write in. I might still make you send a message if I don't recognize it, but you can save a lot of time if you just automatically use your full name as your Zoom identity when you come in, and let other people who you might let know about the reading who haven't been here before that they should do that as well. So the rest of the open reading as I have it now is Julian Matthews, Jackie Chu, Stuart Mincer, Cathabella Wilson, Ken Scott, Ike Waltz, Michael G. Hickey, Nancy Murphy, J.R. Turek, Digwayne, Sophia Kang, Heidi Casa, James Coates, and me. If anyone else would like to be added, send me a message in the chat. Now on deck is Jackie Chu. And please welcome now. Let me reopen the participants window because it disappeared. I have to click the right button. Please welcome now Mr. Julian Matthews. Hello, Julian.
Hi. Great feature, Jennifer. This is called Sunday Encounter, a bit of a prose. Sunday Encounter. This Sunday evening, I briefly encountered hope and peace. They weren't personifications in a poem of two abstract concepts. I was out for my usual walk around the park. Hope was in a bright yellow font on a t-shirt of a buff young man huffing from a workout on the right side of my path. Peace was in dull white lettering on a faded t-shirt of a much older woman on my left who looked harried as if in a rush to get home. My journalistic instincts kicked in and I thought of capturing the moment on camera. After all, it's not every day you are confronted by hope and peace. But it was already too late and too obvious, so I just looked quizzically at one, then the other, and they each looked quizzically back at me for staring, and since they were parallel to each other, neither knew what the other's t-shirt bore. Earlier in church, A and I were randomly chosen by church warden to be gift bearers at mid-mass. It was our first time. We were told one of us was to carry the bread in a gold chalice and the other the symbolic wine and water in two small glass containers on a tray. The warden said the one with the stable hand should carry the fragile-looking glass containers on the tray. I volunteered to do it and whispered to A, "What could possibly go wrong?" She momentarily changed her mind and we switched places. When the time came, we did our prescribed assignment without a hitch. I do not consider myself a religious man and have grappled with my faith for decades, but somehow felt lighter for having done the smallest of good deeds for the day. Yet this very same day, a stressed, aging peace and a muscular, tired hope came up the road and walked right past me. The universe winked, and I realized with weary shoulders not a thing in the world, my world, had changed. Stubbornly denying faith, I walked an extra round. Thank you.
Julian, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing us your words, your rainbow, your presence, as always. Another round of applause for Julian Matthews, all the way from Malaysia. I wonder if that's offensive because he's in Malaysia. It's not all the way. He's like right there. He's probably thinking I'm like Mr. like not in Malaysia centric here, you know, and I'm always like, oh, Malaysia, he's right there. This you feel free, you know, next time you're on, Julian, to say, well, you're all the way in Los Angeles, and I'll be sure to take that as I deserve. On deck is Stuart Mincer. Please welcome now Jackie Chu. Hello, Jackie.
Hello. Always good to see you, Rick. I'm gonna read two poems. The first one is on Dashboard Chorus. It's called A Kaleidoscopic Dreamscape. The cat shakes off bits of jacaranda in fear of becoming prey to the purple feline eater. Meanwhile, a magician pulls cubic zirconia from a green velvet hat. Lavender blossoms carpet the asphalt road. Traces of amethyst shine in the eyes of the chivalrous, whose apples fall skyward, who prefer meringue to lemon filling, cats over dogs, dressed as old jukebox favorite songs, devoid of gray exuberance. And the second poem I'm gonna read, I'm so glad that Jennifer read her tanka because it inspired me to read a short tanka sequence. It's called A Room with a View. Faces of strangers seen from the attic of my parents' store. I turn my tiresome days into diary entries. Group therapy, striped blue carpet under my feet, the weight of my stories. Thank you.
Jackie, thank you. It's always good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here. Another round of applause for Jackie Chu. On deck is Cathabella Wilson. Please welcome now Stuart Mincer. Hello, Stuart.
Hello. I have one poem, and it's called Jeffrey Toobin. And Jeffrey Toobin was a writer for The New Yorker, and also a spokesman, a law interpreter for CNN. But they caught him, or he thought he had his camera off, and you may have heard about it, caught him touching himself in a New Yorker staff meeting. So what triggered me was this whole idea of sexuality, getting shamed, etc. But enough of that. The poem is called Jeffrey Toobin. Jeffrey Toobin is caught masturbating in a Zoom work group, and he's shamed and trashed, and the bullies and power abusers are happy that a spokesman for the compassionate liberal left, a spokesman that unmasked hypocrisy and language manipulation, faulty logic, bully tactics, and power abuse, has been exposing himself in one of the worst sins ever, delighting in being sexually aroused. And who cares if he says he didn't know if his video was not muted, and that his great need in those moments to soothe and shift the jangly chemistries of the world and the undefinable mystery and everything since the great fall from connection in Eden was put on display. This act called forth the righteous shaming of the needy place and the ways of medicining it that offended the conditioned eyes of the beholder and critics. Better to offer those eyes things that did not offend them. Better to let them see big game hunts. Better to pose with dead lions, elephant heads, felled redwoods, the obscene display of greed and gimme and more. The world is screaming, help me, save me, show me, fix me, hear me, and all the little one inside can do sometimes is rock and hope that something great comes along to rescue us. And like Jeffrey Toobin did, feeling he was kind of safe and anonymous and visually muted in some Zoom left brain policy talk room that only tangentially at best addressed the longings of warrior soul heart, start to rock and let the fat tongue come out, dreamy, wet in its beautiful, slidey need, and nurture its flame in the intuitive ways all beings know that widen the container of whatever name you have for that sweet fire connection where you're free again to ride and transform in the liquid that sings you whole and alive. Who wants to leave that place, that food? Why do you think the words, please don't stop, and oh God, yes, oh baby, yes, were given as lifelines to birth? Naughty boy, naughty girl, everyone falls sooner or later. Better to celebrate the expression of the gift of one of the 10,000 forms of love. So what if you're triggered? I am too, by inauthentic displays of affection and the betrayals that lurk behind closed doors, by clear-cut forests, political drivel, demagogues, children in lockups, small talk and idle chatter on the paths through the forest, the missionary position done out of a tired duty, all the thefts of soul and spirit. Oh, dear wanderer, soul singer, acre for freedom, coming up for air again and again in a triggering world. Bless the cooers and the whisperers to the fire. Bless the welcomers of the medicines of life.
Stuart, thank you so much for that poem. A really interesting take on that story, an unusual take, one that I appreciate. I also had something honestly incredibly hilarious to say, which I'm going to refrain from doing so because right at this exact moment, my son walked up and into his room, which is right next to where I'm doing this. So we're just going to have to imagine what that might have been, but I assure you it was really astoundingly funny. Stuart, I'm really happy that you were here tonight and shared that piece, and please come back.
Thank you.
Another round of applause for Stuart Mintzer. On deck is Ken Scott. Please welcome now Cathabella Wilson. Hello, Cathabella.
Hi, Rick. Thank you. I'm going to read a poem that is the third poem in my book, Figures of Humor and Strange Beauty. And I'm reading one poem a week, although the first week I read two because they were very short. So this one is just one poem, the third one of 18. And they were written exactly in this order. And you can feel the birthday feeling in it. She had a flair for excess. You might notice that combined with a peculiar sense of direction to produce now and again exquisite flights of imagination. It was on one of these journeys, and as it neared her birthday, that she bought the airline tickets, one for herself and one for the enormous spool of white silk cord. Rick is playing a white silk flute. Her mind was like a homing pigeon. No matter where in its travels it set off from, it would eventually return to those key spots in her childhood where everything began. We all do that. She had come to the conclusion after visiting these spots innumerable times in her imagination that if a straight line were drawn from one to the other in the right order, an amazing picture would emerge. It would be the key to everything. Now, with her silk cord, she was bound and determined to find out. She had planned her arrival for dusk. The streets would begin to empty, and she'd have the least interference. Things were remarkably the same as she remembered, except they were closer together. And what she thought to be hills were only slight inclines. As is the case in such return trips, she worked through the night, walking, tying, and turning. The white lines sparkled in the moonlight through the empty streets, and as the breeze played on them, the church the school, the house, the tree on the hill where she first collected stones, the wall on which she sat and overlooked the hill. By the first sight of morning, the first light, her work was done. And she began to pull the last lines toward her. The sound of slipping and tightening silk was interesting and exciting. On the return flight home, she was not disappointed. Her arm rested comfortably on the enormous knot that had so easily formed as a result of her labors. Isn't that what happens when we try to figure things out? Always practical, she began to imagine its uses. Perhaps she could use it as a chair. It would certainly be comfortable. See, we noticed a really good chair, didn't we, Rick? It would certainly be comfortable and even fit too. She needed chairs. Finally, without thinking, she began to mold it with her fingers, as she always did with things since she was small. The long, long neck of a swan began to emerge on one side, and a fan-like unfolding tail on the other. As they circled the airport, she remembered her dreams. They had all been good ones, sweet ones on this journey, which for all its twists and turns and long-windedness, she judged a fine success. She was flying back to the friends that she loved with a good story, she thought. She closed her eyes and imagined how their eyes would light up as she told it.
That was an epic piece from you, Cathabella, relative to the length of pieces you typically read. Well done. Rick, I really enjoyed the music. It looks a little bit, I know Cathabella identified what you were playing, but it does look a little bit like you're playing a fluorescent light bulb.
Yes. It's a replica of a Baroque flute. The original was made in Paris in about 1730, and this is a copy. And the original happened to be made of ivory. And this copy, which was made around 1980, is also ivory. No flute makers use ivory anymore, but it's an ivory flute.
Very good. Well, thank you for
I
that.
said it was a white silk flute, but
Yeah, fluorescent light. That's you're not the first, Rick, to notice that. Yeah.
Well, I feel if there's a way that we could solve the energy crisis with your flute, maybe this is where that begins.
Yeah, it's good nightlight.
thank you.
Thank you both for being here. Yes, we did notice a really good chair, Cathabella. Another round of applause for Cathabella Wilson. And my God, happy birthday! How nice of you to spend your
This
birthday
is a great
with us.
way to celebrate it.
Yeah, had I known, we would have brought cake somehow. Another round of applause for the birthday girl, Cathabella Wilson. Thanks for being here, Cathabella. Thank you, Rick, as well. On deck is Ike Waltz. Please welcome now Ken Scott. Hello, Ken.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I have two poems of the heart, so to speak. One, this first piece that I'm going to do is called Materialistic Honey. This is when love is not quite working out right because of money. Four-letter dialects reflect mathematical augmentation of frustration regarding capitalistic romances. Dances with astronomical finances, attracting female glances while brothers with hearts are forced to depart from the start. Is LA at play nothing more than a rhinestone shopping cart? I call and call, but she lets me fall, all for the love of money, and all the honey wants is bank. Yank out the part about love from above and simplistic brotherly realistics. Sophistication of materialistics is the situation, violation of true love, the elation of this nickel and dime civilization. And time after time, the same crime persists, consisting of money fiend honeys milking sunny California manhood for the good it's worth, rebirth of true love too far away. Pray for the day you can say true love will stay. And don't play the same money game with me, honey. Funny how easily I can read your sideways glances and female money dances for materialistic romances unsavory. Favor me while your heart can still see how beautiful true love can be. That's that one. Next piece is a little bit older. This is a more romantic, erotic piece. This one is called Passionate Lovers. Oh, how passionately I have longed to kiss your tender lips, to caress your soft, gentle, milky skin, your warm, fertile body, to touch your sweet, plentiful breasts, my beautiful, loving flower, fragrant with the sweet, sweet smells of lovemaking. Are you open to consume my burning, erect passion with your glowing, glistening, hungry desires? You are like sweet, flowing honey. The radiant moon and stars at night prepare your sweet, joyous name. O fruitful woman of love, we live to be joined forever as one. Lovers, like sexy, fiery horses, run passionately. Water shimmering like glass casts the reflection of the moon and stars, glowing, glowing ever silently, longing, the deep desire filled with burning, glowing ecstasy. A man and his woman, two become one. The horses run passionately, passionately. The stallions mate vigorously with their mares. The water flows to the sea. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Ken, thank you. Thank you for both of those. A little known historical fact, but not only was Jeffrey Toobin caught doing what he was doing, but while he was doing it, he was also reading that poem, which people just didn't realize. That didn't really get out there as part of the story.
I don't know if Zoom meetings existed back in 1990, because that's when I wrote that one.
I don't know how. Well, this was the Jeffrey Toobin was more recent, so the poem.
Has he got a copy of that poem? I don't know.
He might. He probably does. How could he not? Ken, thank you so much for being here. Good performance, good reading, good writing. Thanks for being here. Another round of applause for Ken Scott. On deck is Michael G. Hickey. Please welcome now Ike Waltz. Hello, Ike.
Hello. Since I am the featured reader next week, I'd like to confront you with the bio of a yesterman. Now, when I write about it, I know my subject, it's me. If I perform the it, it's the me for you. The you will mix with my it, with your intimate point of view. So I dig inside the all of us and see the me as my better it, bouncing back so I can see my I as if I taste the reflection of me, as it only can be that mine, and all of that I am. A womb discharged it. Amidst goose steps, a parade in black, war, the rancid righteousness of death exposed my vulnerable back. Despair is no reward, the darkness of a bunker, hunger. They gave me warm pig's blood and raw whale oil, which made me puke. Spitfire and destruction, in short, it was a hellish defeat. Little I understood why. A loser, a loser, a loser, collective guilt. I am the abuser, as if I was the starving boy who was told to raise his arm, as if a monster was to lace my ego, a rebel emerged from deep-rooted fear. But which hypocrite will I find in me? And that ever smoldering why? What would have happened to me? Stinking puddles, the streets sinking in mud, a potato sack to warm my legs, rats and mice and lice crossing my filthy frost-ridden bed, tuberculosis that turned me dead. A dark room, was I really dead? I saw light and woke in the afterlife. A lightning strike remembered me, confronting me with the Holocaust, a fact burned into my all of me. Clinging onto the daily mundane, survival is gray and gray, if you can. I escaped death many times. A barrack so cold, so stinking hot, a roof that leaks, a floor that squeaks, ruins, a place to seek and hide, gangs of children riot outside, the sweet stench of garbage dumps, an inferno smoldering alight, playground and toys for us, burned out tanks, bullets, grenades, and masks for gas, and hunger, frozen bread, greasy lard, rock hard and icy cold. And if you steal, you were told, you get shot on the spot. Collapsed morality forever stained into my life. Enemies are forgiven. The once loyal followers turned into innocent bystanders overnight. The economic miracle rushed along in history. Child labor, no fun. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, $2 a month. Parents forgot parenting. Teachers were shell-shocked and numb. The rest was deafening silence, as if there was no yesterday. A stage, another low entertainment wage. A stage performed the all in me. A job to pray for, in love with artistry. A dancer dances with pretty girls. A warming affair bulges my pants. Will you share a life, I dare? A son and a twin son. On our way, we lost Mom. My college, the Royal UK, a boasting country, the USA, rock and roll, hooray! Armed with Christian guns, Silicon Valley, amazement stunts. A job so permanent, called a businessman. University conversed with me. An engineer now in a hall of fame. A title to pay the rent. A Deutschmark, English pound, an American dollar, Japanese yen, and a couple of Chinese yuan in between. Do I look like a company man? A slave sold 4 times in 3 years, as only a corporation can. I did not shy away, being called a loose cannon. My target, always a risk. A target called hypocrisy. I never missed until I found that a hypocrite is nesting in my soul. Ever since, I'm battling life with every breath. I always survived. Am I a family man? My daughter dressed in tattoo, can't even remember you. A wife for life, a wife, and we said, yes, I do. A grandfather for 200 days, Reuben Ray murdered without a cause. I touched his innocent hands, coma on life support. I begged, please pray with me. And grandfather, hi on Skype, only the cashier calls me honey. A language turns to sarcasm and pity. There is no free Easter bunny. I do not know how many tomorrows I have left. It does not matter, as I cannot run anymore like before. I can drive for hours without a word, no need to talk. But it's the you who listens, as if I were still alive. Can you still love me, so my children, so my wife? I would like to think this way. Yes, I would have been contented in life if only the Holocaust did never happen. Every day I asked myself, why, so many whys, so much pain, impossible to be buried, even over time. So much injustice, questioning history, that constant marker by design, always desperately to whitewash itself, and that again in my name. How can I even pray if there is no answer to why? Yes, I must admit, ever since a young age, I question trust in mankind. And then, my darling wife, let us dance, and this fucking Trumpism will have no chance. My next week's feature will begin with an intro, followed by video, poetry, haiku, followed by a European journey, ending with a duet. Thank you all. Hope to see you next week.
Well, Ike, you've just saved me all the trouble of introducing you next week since you've done it this week. I may just introduce you next week by saying, please refer to what Ike said last week. It's just a thought. Ike, thanks for being here. Looking forward to your featured reading next week and all of those elements of it that you just mentioned. Another round of applause for Ike Waltz. On deck is Nancy Murphy. Please welcome now Michael G. Hickey. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Rick. Hello. Okay, can you hear me now? Am I good? Okay. This first poem, hopefully Jude has gone to bed by now. This first poem is an homage to all of you who write fixed form poetry. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a limerick. I'm just trying, okay? It's called What You Wish For. We sat at a table of mahogany, considering an end to our monogamy. She didn't seem to buy it, but said she would try it. Now she thinks she won the damn lottery. Thank you. And this is a brand new poem. And it's starts with an epigraph from Flannery O'Connor. That's why the shirt. O'Connor says, when the peacock has presented his back, the spectator will usually begin to walk around in front of him to get a front view, but the peacock will continue to turn so that no front view is possible. The thing to do then is to stand still and wait until it pleases him to turn. When it suits him, the peacock will face you. Then you will see in a green bronze arch around him a galaxy of gazing haloed suns. This is called the peacock polka. Alice is in the field with the other peahens eating berries and bamboo. It's that time of year again, and it's her turn to have the pick of the peacocks. They know it, she knows it, and the other princess peahens can only stare in peahen envy. Alice is supposed to be in heat, ready to mate, hot to trot, etc., but she's not feeling it. All she wants to do is eat. Comfort food, maybe an amphibian or a nice fig or two. Oscar, the alpha male and a serious peacock with serious peacock business on his mind, slowly and methodically approaches his soon-to-be queen. Initially, he does not make eye contact. This is a key part of the mating ritual. Step one, confuse them. Create mystery in the fowl mind, F-O-W-L mind, and then sit back and let her fill in all the gaps. Ignore her, start to walk away. Step 2, suddenly Oscar spins back around and laser locks his magnetic love glare directly at the queen of the peahens, confident his charisma will penetrate her boundaries, her spirit, her light. He believes that if he's patient, he can hypnotize this pretty poultry, no problem. Alice, on the other hand, has seen this love glare before. It means nothing to her. It's all sizzle, no steak. So predictable. Step 3. This is it. The big, long-awaited love scene with Alice. Oscar inhales deeply, audibly through his puckered nose and beak. This is the moment of truth, the day he's been waiting for. He turns his back to her again, this time sharply like a soldier, and fans his full plumage to display the train. Chicks dig this move. They can't resist it, especially when all those feathers start to make that rattling freight train sound. No bird displays the train like a peacock, and no peacock displays the train like Oscar. He spreads his magnificent tail feathers like a 4-foot deck of marked cards. He then proceeds to strut with real purpose, neck jerking back and forth. This is called being cocksure. It is not only a love letter for Alice, but also a clear warning to lesser peacock bystanders who dare to test Oscar's alpha status. He knows they're all watching him. Meanwhile, amidst all this train displaying, Alice is giving herself a pedicure and planning how to rearrange the patio furniture. Maybe add an awning, a swing, more plants perhaps. She finds this whole mating ritual insufferably boring, but plays along mostly just to amuse herself. She can smell Oscar's stupidity from across the barnyard, but still indulges her suitor's courteous courtship strut. Alice starts thinking about dinner. She wonders if she'll find anything to eat in the alfalfa field besides the alfalfa. The other peahens never save her anything. The 4th and final step. If step 3 fails, don't fret. Play the sympathy card. Peahens are notorious empaths. Oscar closes the deck of his exquisite plumage and with his head down begins to trudge away and defeat tail feathers on the ground like an old hound dog dragging its tail between his legs. When Alice sees this, she hurries towards him. Hey, where you going, big boy? Come here, don't leave. We're just getting started. Now, show me those smooth tail feather tango moves again. Let's see what you got. Don't go away all half-cocked. Back and forth it goes, back and forth. This is what it's like every spring to be a peacock in love with a peahen. This is what it means every spring to save your species by doing the peacock polka, one peahen at a time. Damn straight, yo. Thank you.
Michael, thank you. I like any usage of the word peacock, especially in a poem. I especially like the presence of real peacocks in my old Van Nuys neighborhood. One lived just around the corner. When we'd go on a walk, we'd see it just walking between houses and across the street. So thank you for bringing me back to that. And thank you for being here tonight. Another round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. On deck is J.R. Turek. Please welcome now Nancy Murphy. Hello, Nancy.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I've not recovered from that. Such great work. Wasn't that the second time a peacock was in a poem tonight? I don't know. I learned so much tonight. All right. A lot of heat today. I was in search of a swimming pool today. This is not the poem, but I don't like to say too much before reading, except that I had pool on my mind. So I have to read this. And like Jennifer, this is a poem that was one of my first published pieces in the Baltimore Review about 20 years ago, and I still like it. Betty Poolside. She pleads with him to join her in the water, at first lightly, then with a rising insistence, and he resists. She is unhappy. It is always the same, the woman calling the man to her, wanting to float together in their skin, and he on the edge of falling, regaining footing, then diving in when she is not looking. He is on his own time. Betty's beauty strikes me, and I wonder if he sees it anymore the way the world does, how any other man could not say no. I learned they are married 1 year now. She talks to me in the jacuzzi. I tell her I left my husband because he would not swim naked with me in the dark, in the pool, behind the fence at our house. All right, and then one other poem. This one was just out in Aurora Poetry. Another seasonal. We're still in summer, by the way. How isolation is like summer. Remember the slow heaviness of August in Albany, the 60s, 6th grade, everything exhausting from humidity, excessive greenery suffocating, days stretching in our hands like the wonder of boardwalk taffy that never breaks. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Remember when effort was pointless, when summer kept us low to the ground, sitting in the art of doing nothing, tree-filtered sunlight moving across our freckled faces as we spoke quietly, like whispers might keep us cooler. Picture us young, self-contained, still whole, breathing the not knowing of life like it was our daily bread. Where did my blue paisley shirt go? The one that would get translucent with sweat. Mom, I can't find it. Where did it go? Where did you go? Oh, the trouble with looking for things, what you find, this impossible brokenness of motherlessness, how that grief lies in wait for you, coiled, attacks only in self-defense. No one wants to be forgotten. Memory is a mother. Thank you.
Nancy, thank you. Stunning work tonight. Glad to hear it. You also win the award for the yellowest room, just so you know. Glad to see a glimpse of that. Glad you're here tonight. Your hair almost blends right in with it. It's lovely. It's a whole thing you've got going on. No extra charge for that effect from Nancy Murphy. Another round of applause for Nancy. On deck is Dig Wayne. Please welcome now J.R. Turek. Hello, J.R.
Hi, good evening, everyone. What another great night. So this is today's prompt poem, and there are 24 other poets contributing words to this. So, mistaken identity. Like getting into the wrong car, like butt dialing the wrong number, like sending an intimate email to the wrongest person on the earth. Like thinking you recognize someone you met somewhere you can't quite remember, and adamant they are who you say, but they aren't, and they are damn glad to be rid of you. Like disguising yourself for evil reasons, getting caught and blaming your accuser. Like the prisoner who spent 30 years in jail because he looked like guilt. Like tapping Liza Minnelli, begging her autograph and getting it. Or did you? Like signing someone else's name in a book, on a page, on a check. Like yet another robocall where you press 0, get a rep, and insist they are someone you know, asking, how's the family, the dog, that nasty boil, and blessedly, they never call back. Like mistaking him for someone honorable, like being accused of stealing her iPad, like losing your social security number and not knowing until damage is done. Swooning over him, meet, hug, kiss to find out he isn't who, what you thought. Marrying and 47 years realizing she's not the woman you married. Like asking if she's a librarian when she asks if you are a princess and telling him he's an egomaniac. Like swearing it'll never fall out of your pocket. What is that floating? A fish, a boat? Oh no, your iPhone. like looking in the mirror, seeing a broken person, seeing the veil between a man and mirror shimmer, like trusting your dog to know the difference. Like meeting your doppelganger, like trying not to be your doppelganger, like mistaking my kindness for weakness, like meeting for the first time and knowing all there is to know behind the mask, like being mistaken for Buddy Hackett, like being told he's dead and seeing him, like following him, stalking him, learning he's not him, nothing like him, but still you search. Like twins that play tricks on their teacher, like twins you didn't know were twins, like John who looks like Jim but isn't, like VJ who looks like JV, related to RS and BS but won't admit it, like 12th night but not, like surmising who you are when you don't know your own heart, when your whole sense of self is missed, like when he touched me, I lost my identity, like it or not, you've mistaken me for someone who cares. Thank you.
Judy, thank you. It's a question I've been meaning to ask you. You always say today's prompt poem. Where do these prompts come from?
I create them. And then I put the prompt out and people in my writing group come back with a word, a phrase, some of the most bizarre things you ever heard on the planet. And I promise to take everything they give and mix it in a bowl and create a poem. In addition to my other, whatever.
In addition to your whatever. Fantastic.
The
others, I was just wondering, if, because sometimes, we're, any of us who are writers are lacking from a writing idea. And so the source of your prompts is actually you. So that's cool. So put a link in the chat where people can, check out your writing group if it's even open for being checked out by the Cobalt community and our community of, I'm not even going to go where I was just going to. Anyway, it's please do. We would all benefit from access to writing ideas, I think. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Another round of applause for J.R. Turek. On deck is Sophia Kang. Please welcome now Dig Wayne. Hello, Dig.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. Just a little heads up for Jude. Hopefully he's not pacing around there. This is a new piece. We're all adults here. It's called Mental Therapy and the Quest for Virility in the Modern Man. Either you have a big dick or you don't. Some things are not up for debate. The world knows if you've got a big dick. Women will suspect it. They'll say to their friends, girl, I bet he's got a big one. They can sense it in a man's behavior. Some people say it's not important. Oh, that's bullshit. Some guy says it's not important. He probably has a big dick. Ask him if he'd give up a few inches, then see how important it is. Mine is okay. It works most of the time. They've got remedies for any issues that might appear. I never had any complaints, but no woman ever said to me, ooh, it's so big. Because it ain't, and I know it. I mean, she ain't gonna lie, and I appreciate that. If a woman ever said that to me, I'd be like, bullshit, you lying. You know my dick ain't that big enough to say, ooh, that's a big dick. Now, don't get me wrong. I get the job done, but she ain't calling home, you know what I'm saying? So you watch porno and you see a big dick, then you know where you stand in the dick scale. See, these mandingo motherfuckers be getting paid for that dick, so it better be bigger than off the shelf. But there you are. It ain't nothing to lose sleep over, but it's a concern as a man. See, you got a big dick, you walk into a grocery store and the prices don't seem so steep. You get some bad news on an investment. You can bounce back. At least you got a big dick. Your woman cheats on you. Must be something you did, not something you ain't got. See, you got a big dick, you don't need to trick out your life, always proving to the world you have value. A big dick can help a man relax into life. Remember in high school, during gym class, when it came time for showers, the boys with the big dicks just stripped down and got in the shower. The little dick boys hid or waited around so nobody would see them because they knew they'd get teased. Hey man, look at that little wiener you got. They became targets. It's sad. See, it makes a difference out in the world. I hate to say it, but you know it's true. All you guys with little or just average dicks know exactly what I'm talking about. You carry on, you get a haircut, you get lined up, you drink coffee, you collect your rewards, you watch your diet, you try to live forever, get a job and a wife and kids maybe. And she tells you she loves you just the way you are. And you do all right. But in the back of your mind, you know you ain't got a big dick. And she knows it too. So that's about all I have to say about that for now. Just one of those things men think about, but never talk about. Thank you.
Is that the full length of your reading tonight, Dig?
Yeah, that's as deep as I'm going to go.
I appreciated the trig dick warning you gave at the beginning. Jude, fortunately, he's got his headphones on, so it was fine. I realized that trig dick isn't in the dictionary.
I'm sorry, what's not in the dictionary?
Trig dick. Or the trig dick warning you gave at the beginning.
See, I don't like to give trigger warnings. I figure all adults, if I'm going to say something that's going to upset somebody so bad that they have some trauma, then maybe they shouldn't be here. I'm going to say that, I ain't going to warn you. I'm going to say something that's going to upset you. It's like, but I get it, but I don't want to do that. I just was more concerned about young ears.
That's sensible. It's sensible, and I appreciate that sensibility. Having a set of young ears in the house. I'm just sad Dick Westheimer was no longer here tonight to hear that. By the way, Dig Wayne. Thank you so much for your reading tonight, and all the things that you bring us. It's a delight.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Dig Wayne. On deck is Heidi Casa. Please welcome now Sophia Kang. Hello, Sophia.
Hello. It's my first time. Elizabeth Iannacci told me about this group. So the poem I'll start with is Shakespeare, My Nemesis. It's a sonnet. I must write a sonnet. It's my homework. Sonnet. 3 quatrains, 1 couplet, strong closure. Sounds simple enough, but oh, how I'm irked. It demands iambic pentameter. Jump, unstressed, stress, da, 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 da. 10 syllables per line, the min and max, no ifs, ands, or buts. Last straw. Am I there yet? Never mind the syntax. It has to rhyme. These lines, quick. What rhymes with? There's so many rules to keep track. Wait a sec. Hold on. I'm counting syllables with my breath. Right now, I hate Shakespeare more than my ex. I'm almost done. I'll be Bonnie and Blythe. Shakespeare, my nemesis. Satisfied? The second one is a more current piece called Workplace Deja Vu. My mind is an efficient machine, always detecting patterns. Finally, things are starting to converge. It's almost outer bodily. I'm 33 and finally have a boss that I'm not afraid of. We can joke and tease, and an LOL soothes any tensions, but things are not perfect. The SMM quit 3 weeks into my job. Flashback, this seems familiar. Flash forward, present day. And I have a work BFF. How many years has it been? I wonder where he is now, hopefully married for the sake of his son. Anyway, work bestie 2.0 is older than me, a breeze to work with since we are both type A's. Every idea I suggest he has already made to the big boss months ago. He has been waiting for an ally. I am she, the awaited messiah. This seems too familiar. The architect sees all, but without power can change nothing. Will I too grow bitter and resolve to do everything myself? I've been down that path before. I've never gotten more sick than in Ohio, where I went a year without Sabbath. They tease me without acknowledging they were the root cause. The body keeps the score, knocks me out if I keep pushing past my own limits. For 3 months, I have been vomiting monthly. I tell my doctor about it, but he says this is normal side effect of premenstrual symptoms. I need a female doctor. 4 weeks in and his mask starts to turn. He complains about everything, just like Annie did. And when my dad's restaurant was bought out, he told me it was because I didn't know how to distinguish friend from foe. All my efforts would always fall short if I kept trusting the wrong people. It feels like this could be a turning point, my breakthrough. I'm fighting every urge in me telling me to run.
Sophia, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm glad you were sent here to this place. Elizabeth is a very good friend of mine, and we've seen her here as well a little bit because she, as you may know, is one of the co-directors of the VCP SoCal Poets, who presents a poet here a few times a year. I've known her for a long time. She's one of my greatest friends, longest term friends. So I thank her for sending you to us. Both of those work, I think. And I hope you come back and read again. We do this every week. Welcome to the Cobalt, ladies and gentlemen. First time here, Sophia Kang. On deck is James Coates. Please welcome now Heidi Casa. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, everybody. I have a piece that was published at Water Wheel Review, and I'm going to put the link in the chat in a moment because I've read it here before, so I'm not going to read it again. But people who might be interested in submitting to the Water Wheel Review, it's a pretty cool thing. They take anything, they say whatever they like flows by. And they put art with it, so, and sometimes music, and so it's pretty cool. I'm also just going to read a couple of Tanka poems because people are also reading Tanka. And now you must ask whether I've written new songs. I am the mythic koto with 25 strings, but without a bridge for sound. Like a summer flower, fragile as its slender stem, love wastes me away. Yet I shall blossom, crimson under the bright noonday sun. And I also got distracted. So these are actually two covers from Yosano Akiko and the book The River of Stars. Thank you.
Heidi, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing those pieces with us. Congratulations on getting that piece published, and please do post a link to the publication in the chat so we can check it out and try our luck with them as well. Another round of applause for Heidi Casa. On deck is Nick Paleologos. Please welcome now James Coates. Hello, James.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Rick, your introduction always sounds like I'm on a radio show. Not just for me, but everyone you introduce. I'm like, one day Rick will introduce me on a radio show. All right, I have a one poem for you today, but I want to mention that tomorrow is the first Wednesday of this month, so we're doing the Be the Change workshop coming up tomorrow night on Zoom, and I'll drop the link for that. But we're going to be discussing environmental justice this month. So I'm going to read a poem out of the collection, the new collection, Midnight and Mad Dreams, about a similar subject. It's called Thirsty. And if you're familiar with what's happening in Mississippi, you'll probably get it. Thirsty, like the children of Flint, I'm trying to drink from fountains that aren't tainted with lead. Too often it feels like one way or another, it finds a way into bodies like mine, a sloth like dying. I want to drink justice, take it in and have it wash away the disgust of inequality known to plague this festering environment. A virus that eats more than lungs, it swallows whole communities. Dehydration feels like an unclear future, yet still predictable like sentence. I long for water like it was a chance. Clean streets that don't strive to drown me in murky mud, stagnant wages, and school systems that feel prisons, not colleges. That's it for me tonight, y'all. Thank you, everyone.
That was James Coates dropping a fresh track from his latest book, which just dropped last week here on KCOBALT.
Thanks, Rick.
Your dream is my dream, James. I'll see what I can do about getting on the radio and then introducing you. If you know anyone, let me know. Another round of applause for James Coates. Check out his new book if you get the chance. Of course, I post a link to it in the chat, James. People will click, they will find it, they will be overjoyed. On deck is Cheryl Latif. Please welcome now Nick Paleologos. Hello, Nick.
Hey, Rick. Great to be back here again. Always good to see you. All right. I only got one for y'all tonight. It's a little bit late here on the East Coast, but we'll get to it and everything like that. You all can follow my stuff at The Real Nick Piano. I don't know what the heck just happened over here. That was weird. My mic just knocked it out. What the heck just happened? Rick, can you just give me real quickly? I don't know what's going on over here. One sec. I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem. Nick, we'll come back to you next. Just so you know, we could still hear you, so we'll come back to you though next. How about that? You are once again in the status of being on deck. Cheryl, please welcome Cheryl Latif. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everyone. Another wonderful night with Cobalt. I love what you said about COBALT radio. That was pretty cool. I have just one poem for you tonight, entitled The Air Between Us, for Yafe. I can still taste the grace of that morning. Sun streaming through the bedroom window, steam rising from the bath, the sound of labor giving way to birdsong at dawn. So peaceful. You slept your first day, awoke brief moments, looked around, determined everything's right with the world. They came one after another to witness your light in that small craftsman house. Here was no ordinary child. You entered this world hungry for all it has to give, have fed those around you with joy and understanding. You whom I've known since a seed within me, you to whom I wrote love notes all those months, you whose gentle spirit was clear long before your face graced my eyes. You never kicked, just swam the warm ocean of my womb. You often asked, remember when we were small and I couldn't recall our sibling spirits playing together. Only you could, bringing our hearts closer, as though we could be closer. I can still taste the grace of that morning. There is still no lovelier sight than your face. Thank you.
That's the exact thought that goes into all of our heads when it's your turn to read, Cheryl, by the way. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of KCOBALT, which is far too many letters, which is why it never caught on. It's the least successful radio station in history. Cheryl, beautiful poem. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Another round of applause for Cheryl Latif. On deck is Prasanna Kumar. Please welcome back Nick Paleologos. Hello, Nick.
Hey, now I can hear you now loud and clear. It's been weird. Storms out in the East Coasters, messing with everything. Here's my poem. You cannot disguise your voice when it comes to a microphone. No matter how much you speak to it, a mic will know your intentions. The depths of the soul show up in the inflections. The mic knows you so well. Shelter your soul all you want, bury it in a well and watch it swell. Sometimes this microphone likes to play with you, make you raise riots within, make you soften your spite, slash brick walls with words harder than swords could. Microphone is for those that are authentic. It'll censor frightened, fraudulent, and forgotten depths of your soul. Make you cry oceans, laugh out serotonin levels. The microphone isn't for the faint of heart. It's given to everyone, though. Artists rock with it the best. That's all.
Nick, now you made me nervous because I have a brand new microphone I'm working with right here, and I realized that like I'm looking at it and I'm going like, who the hell are you? And we're just working out this relationship. But and you have the kind of relationship where you knock your mic over and it just turns off your whole computer. So I don't know. It just feels like what you've just said is a really big deal that we need to be thinking about over here.
Yeah, this microphone's newish, so still trying to work out all the kinks with this one and everything. Thanks for having me, Rick. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for being here. And I'm sure you two are going to work it out just fine, and it'll be an inspiration to all of us. Thanks for staying up late for us, Nick. Another round of applause for Nick Paleologos. I am on deck to close out the reading. Please welcome now Prasanna Kumar. Hello, Prasanna.
Hi, Rick. It's great to be here. This may be my second outing with Cobalt. Nevertheless, I have few known faces here, Nick and Finn. It's great watching and listening to all wonderful poets out here. My piece, Nature Blooms. Well, no matter how we are now, the time will present us with the wisp of fragrance of fire. The uncertainty would lift the veil of translucent, pleasant ambience. The dark shadow of pestilence will be driven away to the heights of ogres. The land of humanity will be witnessed by the new sunshine, and the nature would once again bloom with the ripples of dulcet lyrics and ballads of fluttering blood of butterflies and buzzing bumblebees. Dancing ladybirds and pirouetting pretty maidens in the rainstorm of showering petals. Yes, days begin to see the freshness, and all thank the happenstance. All thank the happenstance. Nature blooms. Thank you. Thank you, Leopard. Thank you, Rick, for letting me in.
Oh, thank you for being let, Prasanna. Thanks for being here. Where you're reading to us from?
From India.
India.
Yes, and I would request you all to kindly join my Facebook page where we have regular poetry recitals and poetry prompts, and weekly on Sunday as per Indian Standard Time 7 p.m.
Very good. Well, I think you posted a link to that earlier in the chat. Feel free to post it again. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the kind of.
Another round of applause for Prasanna Kumar. I'm going to close out the reading with a couple of poems. The first one from my book. I am not writing a book of poems in Hawaii. Was written on the plane on the way to Hawaii. The plane next to us is going to Maui. We're Honolulu bound. There's something to be said about plane pooling. We have wristbands which will tell them on the ground over the ocean. We have filled out all the paperwork and had all the shots. This will expedite our transition into the Hole land. There is vegan sushi in our future, and maybe a volcano. Hawaiian Airlines planes are more beautiful than American Airlines planes. They're not using the right words telling us that there is no Wi-Fi on the flight. There is Wi-Fi, just no internet. This will be noted in the final report. No internet on the flight, which I imagine is how cavemen used to fly. Can you still say cavemen, or is it cave people now? The new phone case has a texture which makes it difficult to pull out of my pocket. I'm pretty sure the friction is going to rip off my pants the next time I have to answer a call. Aloha. A toddler does a countdown to takeoff, but this airline is not on her schedule, and when she reaches 0, nothing happens. This is her first lesson. This airplane is equipped with larger overhead bins. I may take a nap in one of them. Use caution, though. I may shift positions during flight. Welcome to the sky, Addie says. Welcome to this book, Addie. There you go. There's that one. And the second poem is my poem for this week's Torah portion. It responds to this line of text. You shall not despise an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not despise an Egyptian, as you were a sojourner in his land. This poem is called One for the Haters. I once heard the words hate is such a strong word pass through someone's lips. Outside of references to mayonnaise, I tend to agree. I wish I remembered who said it. This common sense wisdom has haunted my sensibilities since I first had memory. Perhaps they were responding to me having said I hated someone or something. Once a rabbi gave a tour of burned Torah scrolls to the individual who had done the burning. The man asked for forgiveness, and the rabbi said, "We can forgive, but we can't forget." I saw the whole thing on TV. Every human is human despite the things they've done. Every human had a mother and father. Every human takes full advantage of the available oxygen supply, despite the lines we've drawn on the ground to indicate what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. We all have a vested interest in keeping the rivers flowing, at least as long as we still have rivers, at least as long as food travels from farmers to plates, at least as long as it takes a certain number of years before children learn any words, let alone the one hate. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All righty. Well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. This was a great, great night. I want to give a huge more round of applause. That's right, a huge more round of applause to Jennifer Elise Wang for being a fantastic featured reader, representing us, as it were, for propagating the concept of the Cobalt community. And just for being here tonight. I just pasted in the chat room again the things that you can use to help support Jennifer for her reading tonight. There's her Venmo ID and PayPal email for tipping. You can download her broadside at that link at the Cobalt Poets website. When at the website, of course, you can see all the other broadsides we've ever published. You can add your email to the email list and you'll receive notifications every week in your email with the Zoom link and a reminder of who's coming up as our featured reader. What else can you do there? You can see the calendar of people who are coming up. Next week, our featured reader, as already mentioned, is Ike Waltz. And finally, there's a link to Jennifer's Facebook page in case you would like to connect with her there. I'm going to go ahead and click the Ask All to Unmute button in case y'all would like to say things to each other. Thanks for being here.
Great reading tonight.
Hey, everybody.
Great job.
Hello.
Excellent
Awesome.
reading.
I realized that my cats, their names, this is a Digma like this, that they're both penis euphemisms, one by accident. The other one was my partner's fault, sort of. So this guy, he was named Willie at the shelter, and he was 9 when we adopted him. So we're like, okay, when we got a second cat, my partner kept saying, we should name him like Peter or Dick or something. And I'm like, no, don't. But then being a nerd, I was just thinking and reading X-Men and Avengers fan fiction. So the younger one is Pietro, aka Peter, because I could not get that out of my head. So yeah, my partner won.
So instead of nicknames, they have dick names. How cute.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
right there, huh?
Assignment for next week, come up with some names for more cats for Jennifer.
There you go. There you go.
Good night, everybody. Gotta go.
All right.
Good night, Nancy.
Excellent feature.
Right.
I know too.
Jennifer, that was a great. I caught a little bit of it. I just couldn't catch all of it, but I'm going to be able to rewatch that later. So.
Well, thank you.
And Jennifer, can I just say, Cobalt's been looking for a neuroscience researcher for a long time, and you are exactly what the doctor ordered.
There you go.
Say, do you know Ying Wu out of San Diego? She's also a neuroscientist.
No, I do not. I may have come across her research just reading the papers, but not personally.
Yeah, neuroscientist poet. So yeah.
Isn't there
she might be up in Oregon or Washington State these days. I don't know. She's living on
Isn't there
a
a
cell.
neuroscience researcher club? Poets Club, isn't there?
Well, I know that we know two people who could join to start with.
Like John from Cultivating Voices.
Fucking around, man.
Is also
It's
a
called
neuroscientist.
neuronosis, like neurosis and neurons.
Oh, neurosis poets. Yeah, there are plenty of those.
Yeah.
Or neurodivergence. I've heard that term thrown around, neurodivergence.
Oh, and neuroplasticity. That's one of my favorite words.
There you go.
That's a great word.
You just
Great
think
word.
of just getting a whole bunch of brains and molding them into little animals and stuff. Neuroplasticity, no.
Right.
I don't know.
I see you, John. I see you.
That sounds crazy, John.
This conversation's giving me a headache.
Oh, and Rick, I solved the mystery of the ball. That was my AC blasting it because it's still hot over here. So
I just feel better that they're not still in the house.
Yeah.
Where are you, Jennifer?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So sorry.
Yeah, like a lot of my poems lately make Texas sound awful, as Heidi can probably attest to. And I'm like, I swear it's not bad all the time. Just
Texas
lately.
gets bad press. It gets bad
Yeah.
press. Texas.
Dumb things.
Well, I lived in Austin for 3 years, and Austin was kind of a happening kind of, progressive town.
It just gets bad press. The things I hear about Texas are not good. And I know there's got to be great stuff in Texas, but everything I hear was like, oh my God, Texas again, Ted Cruz, or I don't know, some crazy stuff. The only thing I hear good
Yeah, I left long before Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott and all those guys.
Yeah. The only thing good about Texas I hear is Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
He's good for Texas. That should be a slogan. Beto O'Rourke, he's good for Texas.
I had a really good experience at the Austin International Poetry Festival in Texas.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There's that. Yeah.
See, there's good stuff there. I just don't hear about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
It's a diverse group that's the majority in Texas, but the government consists of a very vocal minority.
Right.
Yeah.
See, Austin is like an island in Texas.
Yeah.
It's like completely independent from the rest of the state.
Yeah. I don't know. There used to be like